You might be saying, well, if I just had a new thyroid, everything would be dandy. Well, people don't really say dandy anymore, so I don't want you to talk like that. And even if you could get a new thyroid, it probably wouldn't fix all the problems, because in most cases, it's not really the thyroid's fault. For a wide variety of reasons, liver issues can be involved. And people will often tell me, well, I don't smoke and I don't drink, so I don't think it's liver issues for me. But in this video, you're going to learn how a person can think that they're living a healthy lifestyle and still be creating major liver issues that can lead to thyroid dysfunction. Let's jump in.
TC Hale is not a doctor and does not claim to be a doctor or licensed in any type of medical field. Don't be an idiot and use anything heard on the show as medical advice. This information should be used for educational purposes only, and you should contact your doctor for any medical advice. Now get off me.
Let us know in the comments what symptoms you're dealing with that you think are related to your thyroid dysfunction. Because it's really possible for the thyroid to be creating symptoms. That happens all the time. But a lot of times people are dealing with symptoms that are actually caused by the underlying cause of the thyroid problem. They just happen to experience them both at the same time, so they all kind of feel like, oh, well, it's caused by the thyroid because we keep seeing this when there's thyroid malfunction. But one of these issues can be liver malfunction. So to understand this, we need to understand the liver's jobs. So most people know that the liver's main job is to remove filth and toxins from the body. That's kind of its gig. But what a lot of people don't know is the liver takes this filth that it filters out of the body and it puts it into what it's called bile. The liver produces this bile, which is like a soapy substance, and it puts a lot of the toxins into that bile. And then the bile flows down and it's stored in the gallbladder where it can be concentrated up to 18 times. So when we eat food and our stomach acidifies that food, once the food is properly acidified, it leaves the stomach and then the gallbladder drops this bile down onto that acidic product. Now, bile is very alkaline, so when this alkaline product meets this acid product that left the stomach, it creates this sizzle. And this sizzle helps us really bust the food apart and pull all the minerals and nutrients out of that food. We'll come back to why that's important in just a minute. But another big factor with bile is that it helps us emulsify our fats or break them down. Now, here's two crucial points to remember. We need proper fat metabolism to be able to create thyroid hormones. And to properly metabolize fat, we have to be able to break down our dietary fats. And we need bile to emulsify those fats so they can be broken down and the body can use them. So the other important point to remember is that those filth and toxins that the liver filtered out of the body and put into the bile, as the bile moves through the intestinal tract, it carries that filth and toxins out, and then those filth and toxins go out the back door. That's the main exit strategy for filth and toxins in the body. It goes through the bile and then it can go out the back door. So those are two very important factors. And for a wide variety of reasons, a person's bile can become too thick and sticky to flow correctly. So it's not moving through the system, it doesn't come down and help us create that proper fat metabolism, and it's also not removing all the toxins that the liver filtered out. So this is important because if those toxins don't go out the back door, they get re-assimilated into the body, and the liver's got to filter them out all over again. It's like, hey, I just did this. Why are you giving me this again? I got to filter it out again? I need a break here. So when bile is not flowing correctly, the liver can get overwhelmed, and then it can't do all of its other jobs because it's doing the same job over and over again. So you could have this healthy lifestyle. You may only eat organic, free-range, gluten-free, hand-washed by Egyptian princes type food, but if bile is not flowing correctly so that the toxins can be removed, the liver can still be overwhelmed and create liver malfunctions that lead to these thyroid problems. So here's the real meat of the problem. The T4 thyroid hormone is not the active form of the thyroid hormone. The T4 has to be converted to T3. Now the kidneys can do this a little bit, but like 80% of our T4 that gets converted to T3 does so by the liver. So if the liver is overwhelmed by re-filtering out junk that it's already done, it can't handle a lot of these jobs. So if you can't get that conversion going, how is your thyroid supposed to work? Right now your thyroid is like, see, it's not my fault. It's the stupid liver and gallbladder. I'm up here near the face. The face is awesome. They're down there in the guts. Ugh. So why you gotta blame me all the time? So when we look at what's going on, it's really not a broken thyroid, it's a broken everything else that's kind of leading up to the function of that thyroid. Now, some feel that bile is needed for that conversion from T4 to T3, and some feel like the conversion just happens in the liver and it can't happen if there's liver problems. And no matter what the situation is, it's obvious that bile needs to be flowing for the liver to function correctly and to make that conversion happen. So it would be awesome if I just made this up, but there's been a lot of Finland studies that kind of show the connection between hypothyroidism and gallstones that are formed. And we know that gallstones get formed because bile is not flowing correctly, because bile became too thick and sticky to move, and then it kind of sits in the gallbladder and it continues to concentrate and it creates those stones. So I'll put the links to those studies below, but understand that this is not just a story I made up. You can really see the connections when you start look at what's going on. Another interesting connection when you're looking at the whole picture is there's a lot of evidence that shows that high estrogen levels can block that conversion from T4 to T3. Well, what we view is that high estrogen is the #1 cause for bile becoming too thick and sticky to flow correctly. It's not the only cause, but it seems to be a very common cause. So if someone's taking estrogen medications, or maybe stress in their life is elevating stress hormones like estrogen, or maybe just stress in their body is elevating stress hormones like estrogen. And a lot of times that stress in the body is coming from a lack of resources. The body doesn't have enough minerals and nutrients to carry out all the functions that it needs to function. It kind of feels like, hey, I'm trying to pay $800 worth of bills with 12 bucks here. I just don't have the minerals to do what I need to do. And that can lead right back to that improper digestion we were talking about, where maybe someone isn't making enough stomach acid, or if bile isn't flowing correctly, that alkaline bile doesn't come down and meet that stomach acid and create that sizzle that really helps us bust the food apart and pull all the nutrients out. Another connection is that there's this sphincter ovati down that kind of releases the bile down into the duodenum once the acid product leaves the stomach. And a lot of people believe that sphincter relies on thyroid hormone to be able to relax and open up and allow the bile to flow. So it could be this thing where, hey, my thyroid's not really working because my bile wasn't flowing, or maybe the bile stopped flowing because my thyroid wasn't working. There's a lot of problems. And so we kind of view it like if someone can help their bile get moving again and kind of thin it out so it can flow correctly, then it can create this cascade of allowing things to function the way they're supposed to. So to help you wade through some of these possible digestive malfunctions, we have a totally free online digestion course that kind of walks you through figuring out, are there aspects of digestion that aren't working correctly for you? And if so, what steps do you need to take to correct those? And we'll put the link to that totally free course in the description below this video. But for now, to figure out if you might be having some bile flow issues and maybe bile has become too thick and sticky to flow correctly, watch our video on 10 signs of poor bile flow to give you some more insights on that problem. I can't wait to hear about your results.